creative freedom is under attack, and unfortunately, it looks like it's only going to continue to get worse before it gets better. But I think that it is so important that we bring as much attention to these situations as possible. And I've been talking a lot about artists having their Patreon accounts locked down and their PayPal accounts locked down, but now we have to talk about a programmer developing adult games on Steam who had their PayPal account frozen, and now, of course, they are completely and utterly screwed. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I believe people should be able to create whatever the content they want. It is legal, it is enjoyable, and ultimately, you can't censor everything for everyone because children might see it. Maybe parents should do a little bit of a better job monitoring what their kids do online instead of going to these payment processors and demanding that content be removed from platforms or not allowed to be able to be monetized simply because one person out there is going to take offense to it. But now, of course, we have more situations arising where developers are having their funds frozen simply because they made adult games. So I have mentioned over the past couple of weeks that there are several artists who have had their Patreon accounts either shut down or locked down, and we have seen the Visa MasterCard situation really blow up because they forced Steam and itch.io to remove certain content off of their platforms. And of course, they're going to use the excuse that it's to protect children when really it's just about having more power and more control. These platforms do not actually care about protecting children. They care about making money. And you would think if they really cared about protecting children, they would be going after Roblox, but they are not. And now PayPal is taking it a step further because this programmer posted to the Legal Advice UK Reddit saying, "I'm a programmer for games on Steam, primarily adult games, and a month ago I was expecting payment for a game I released which netted me £80,000, which is definitely a hefty chunk of change." It seemed that they were really successful in their game launch, which is fantastic, and they don't say exactly what the name of their game is, but hopefully we'll hear more about it on social media over the next, couple of days, because it would be good to be able to support them and follow them on social media. But they are based in the UK, and we know everything that is going on right now in the UK with the Online Safety Act, and really across the world, we're seeing age verification systems being put in place. We're seeing certain platforms remove content because in one region it might be illegal or it might not be deemed safe. So they basically say we have to sanitize the internet for everyone. This money was supposed to be used to pay a large corporation tax bill due in August. However, for 4+ weeks now, PayPal have refused to release any of the money to me. They interviewed me and asked me where it came from. I said it came from programming work I did for video games. They asked me where the games were sold. I said Steam. They then asked me what specific game it was and demanded I link the store page, which is just crazy to me, that basically they can simply decide if they want to give you your money or if they want to keep your money. If they say, "No, you know what? We're just going to hold on to this because we don't think that this content is appropriate. They're pixels on a screen. It really shouldn't be that bad." I linked the store page, and when they realized it was an adult game, they refused to release my money. So they were being nice, and they were being cordial, and they were being professional up until they found out that it was a NSFW game, and that's when they changed their tune. They have also not refunded it to the lead developer either. I've raised complaints that have gone nowhere. I've been told that I've violated PayPal's terms of service. Bear in mind, PayPal is very far removed from the actual sale of this game. Steam pays lead developer takes money into his corporation sends its share of the profits to my account. Now, this is very similar to what we actually saw happen a couple of years ago with Toffer team. I believe, talked about this when it had happened, but we're definitely going to talk about it again because I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't know about it. But the adult game Lewd Idol Project was in a bit of trouble. This was back in 2021. The Toffer Team PayPal account was locked for selling, quote, sexually oriented materials or services, quote, and it has lost access to its Kickstarter fund. So imagine being a creative who is so happy with your work, so confident in your work. You've said to yourself, you know what, I cannot wait to put this out into the world. And then a payment processor decides, no, you're not allowed to do that anymore. Lewd Idol Project is the product of a successful Kickstarter by Toffer team. It raised a total of $35,116 against an original goal of $9,000. The developers plan to release several volumes of the game, each of which would explore new aspects of the story. Following the success of the Kickstarter campaign, Toffer team stored their Kickstarter proceeds in a PayPal account. I think that it's become obvious over the last few years, right, that if you're a content creator, you should never leave funds in PayPal. Really, nobody should, but especially if you're a content creator. I know I personally never do. I withdraw it down to basically nothing because I don't trust them, and nobody should. And this is just another example as to why. Unfortunately, that account has now been locked, and Toffer team has found itself without any access to its funds whatsoever, putting the future of the project into question. PayPal locked both of our accounts for sending and receiving any kind of funds, at the same time locked our hard-earned crowdfunded money via Kickstarter because our business is oriented towards sexual materials or services, explained Toffer, and the owner and the lead developer of Lewd Idol Project. They communicated via email from one day to another without any warning, just like that. One minute I had funding for the future installments of the game, and the next minute I didn't. I mean, I don't really mind getting kicked off of their platform, even if they're the most popular and accessible platform for international payments. There's always an alternative, which is true, but it's just unfortunate that we are seeing so many platforms like PayPal, Visa, and MasterCard all getting together when really they have a payment monopoly in a way. There are other alternatives, but they're much smaller and less trusted alternatives. I personally believe that credit card companies should be restricted and monitored and ultimately regulated like a utility, like water or electricity. I think that is super important, but clearly that's not the case as of right now. And just taking a look at the way that people are responding to this, it's good to see that this situation is getting so much attention and that there are so many people fighting for these developers and voicing how unhappy they are with this situation on social media. But it's still probably going to take a long time for PayPal and Visa and MC to change their stance, if they even do. And I don't necessarily know if they will. This might be a hill they're willing to die on because, again, there are certain places in the world, right, where they do have operations that this content is not okay. But they've been targeting adult material for years at this point with no change. Still hate how we can't make or buy adult games, but OnlyFans and Pornhub continues to go strong. Yeah, you'd think that if they wanted to target one, they'd want to target it all, but of course, their hypocrisy knows no bounds. When are they going to go after Roblox? Approximately never. You know, if this doesn't lead to people boycotting PayPal, I don't know what will. All of this is really getting stupid. Payment processors should have zero say in what we are allowed to buy when the transaction is legal, which I 100% agree with. Meanwhile, a game about smuggling illegals is pushed by major companies. Yeah, I did another video on that. It will be linked down below, but hey, the illegal border hopping sim is perfectly fine, and even a Microsoft is funding that, but oh no, we can't have big breasts in a video game. Bruh, they are straight up stealing his money. This has to be illegal. Dude needs to sue. Learned long ago that PayPal can just keep your money whenever they want for however long they want without any way to redress. Stopped using them many, many years ago. Anyone that still uses PayPal when other options are available is just asking to learn the same lesson. Normally, PayPal will release the money if you get a lawyer and send a lawsuit threat, and we don't really know how far this programmer is willing to go. We don't know if this is like their plan or if they maybe already have. Hopefully, the funds are released, but yes, this is usually true. PayPal doesn't want to try to fight a big battle, but they definitely need a little bit of pushback before they kind of change their stance or they release funds. I'm pretty sure that's theft. If they're going to freeze and lock you out, they should immediately transfer your funds to another account of your choosing and close your PayPal account. Yeah, I mean, it definitely is illegal, and it will be interesting to see what happens specifically in the United States because of the executive order guaranteeing fair banking for all Americans, because this individual is not in the United States. They were in the UK, so the situation is quite different. But if this happens in the United States, it will be curious to see how they can proceed forward with that because of the executive order. I know that there's still a little bit of a time window because when it was announced, it was 180 days. But right now, we're not hearing about anybody in the United States having their accounts locked down. It's just other places in the world, like Japan, like the UK. So I'll be keeping my eye on the situation. But if you are a developer, just be aware that this is happening because unfortunately, programmers developing adult games on Steam have had their PayPal accounts frozen. And if this developer comes forward and announces who they are, I will find their social media and link it below. But at this point in time, they've stayed pretty silent. Though that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to give it a like. And if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.